Ba ba da bow bow banger management fantasy hockey podcast. Woo! Woo!
Woo! That was Jakey's mini woo because he is not here.
What?
Welcome, to Banger Management, the fantasy hockey podcast with Kevin and Josh. Or maybe this way, Josh. I don't know where I'm going to put you yet. But Jakey's not here. So just 2 out of 3 of us
Jakey?
today.
The revenge basement tour.
I should... Jakey's not here. He knows what that means.
I didn't prepare my roast.
Yeah. I was going to say
almost got bleeped. Almost got
bleeped. But yeah, welcome into Banger Management. 2 out of 3 podcast hosts today, but it's the best 2 out of 3. So listen, that was my roast.
That's good.
2 out of 3. Jakey is currently, I think he's in New York right now. He's doing some scouting for the Rangers. No, I'm kidding. He's
they could use it.
Yeah, they could use it. But no, he's enjoying some quality time out there, and we are enjoying some quality time in here in the basement. No.
I mean, I'm literally in the basement. That's where I do my recording.
I'm not in the basement. I wish I had a basement. When I sell my house, I'm getting a basement.
Nice.
But enough lollygagging. Today we are talking about Week 7 buy low, sell high trade targets. This is honestly one of my favorite episodes to record because if you're listening to this, if you're a Banger Management fan, you probably love trading. Do you love trading more than Josh and I? That's going to be difficult.
I made 3 trades in the past week.
I made 1 trade in the past week. But honestly, I think we're already breaking the record for trades in our League of Record. Like, our League of Record does not like to trade. It's one of those leagues that everybody just feels like you're trying to swindle them. Or they know we have a podcast and they're like, I know what you're trying to pull on me, Ricky Bobby. Like, it's just very difficult. The fact that you were able to make 3 trades in like less than 7 days is honestly just ridiculous.
None of them involved you or Jakey. Usually, like there'll be a couple trades in the season, but it'll always be in between the podcast hosts. So it's pretty crazy that all of our trades have not been within the family. You know.
I know. I hate trading with you guys because it feels like it feels like you guys already know everything that I want to.
You refuse
that I want
to
sell you on.
It's you and Jakey both refuse to trade with me at this point.
I mean, some Banger Management lore. Like I think Josh and I's first ever like year doing.
That's how we met.
The League of Record. Yeah, like me and Josh did not know each other until he joined the League of Record that we currently play in together and have a podcast because of.
Yeah, because we spent hours. He was the only person who would respond to my trade, and I was the only person to respond to him. And we spent hours going back and forth. And then, like after we made the trade, we just kept chatting about all the like fantasy hockey stuff. So yeah, that kind of the trading brought us together. Trading brings people together when you're not trying to fleece them. You know.
It does. It does. We tried to trade for so long, and then became best friends and made a podcast about it. So yeah. That's kind of how it goes.
So that's how I would sell it to your other managers. Yes, it was a crazy 4 for 4.
It was.
I don't even remember.
Blockbuster. I can't believe we made a blockbuster happen just like that.
I know. That was wild. Okay, let's dive in because we're getting. I think we're.
Who did I give you in that trade?
Okay, you gave me.
This was 5 years ago.
I know for a fact 2 of the 4 people you gave me were Marner and Devon Taves. The 1 year Taves was good. I gave you. I'm pretty sure JT.
Yeah.
I gave you. I think I gave you Hurdle. Is that possible, or did you give me Hurdle?
It's possible.
Hurdle was involved in that trade as well. Forgetting which direction. Yeah, I don't remember all the details.
Who's the defenseman that I gave? That you gave me? You gave me a defenseman too, I think.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I can't remember.
I forget, but I just remember it was like JT for like Marner.
The main piece was JT for Marner.
You wanted Austin Matthews and Marner. That's why you wanted
that was it. Oh, that was fun.
And that's that winning the chip that year. So. Anyways,
first
those
of many
fun times. But yeah, we're gonna get into all our buy low, sell highs for today. Jakey's not here, so we're going to read his out and provide ample context to his picks. But we do have to start with our 2 weeks update.
Wait, did he tell people to join our Discord and subscribe on YouTube and comment 5 stars and all that fun stuff?
Listen. Well, you just did that. But,
okay, cool.
Guys, if you don't know what Discord is, it's like an app. It's a platform that is a community where the Banger Management people hang out. So if you keep hearing us, I know some people message me on Instagram being like, I keep hearing you talk about the Discord, but what the hell is even that?
Yeah.
Like, you can download it on your phone.
Which is so fair, yeah.
Click the link in our bio. Click on Join Discord. It's going to send you an invite to our specific Discord. and then you're in the community. You can talk about your start sit questions, your trade targets, like literally every yes, in the bang gang. You can. Is that what you said, or I just said that for you? Okay.
No, we both said it.
Perfect. But yeah, honestly, every question that you can have for us, we answer in the Discord. So it's a great place to be. We're also on YouTube. So as you're listening to this, there is a YouTube video happening at the same time. So if you're interested in watching that or have some extra free time, we're there. Drop us a comment, leave a like, subscribe, most importantly. Also, if you're listening to this is a huge spiel, but if you're listening to this and you're not following us on Spotify or Apple or wherever you get those, just like click on the podcast banner, hit that follow button. Honestly, it helps us out a lot. Helps you guys out a lot as well because you're going to get notified every time there's a new episode. So win-win, baby.
Yeah, and every time we get a new follower, Kevin shakes that booty. So yes, it's definitely worth it.
The count is up high right now, so it's a lot of work for me, but worth it.
It's worth it.
It's
okay,
worth it.
I think that
now
was
we can get into the 2-week update.
Somehow more lollygagging with fewer hosts, but you know what? It was worth it. Let's get into our 2 weeks ago update. So who did we put as our buy lows 2 weeks ago? First, we had Braden Point. Since then, he's played 5 games, only has 1 goal. This is not a failure on our part. This is we wanted to put him in this week's buy low episode, but we realized we did him too recently. He is the ultimate buy low at this point. I think he's surpassed Panarin because Panarin's popping off now. Mm-hmm. So it's really Point is the ultimate buy low at this point.
He's the player that when we make these episodes, we actually try to list targets that are feasible for your fantasy teams. Like, what are the trades that we are trying to make? And then we try to talk about those on the podcast so that you guys can also make the similar trades. I am still
Kevin and I are sending barrages of trades for Braden Point.
The Point owner in our league, like, I think they just know how big of a buy low he is, and they're committed to holding the bag at this point just to spite Josh and I because we've sent him so many offers.
You know, though, to be fair, like, there is something to be said where you don't want to sell low, right? So
yeah,
it's I mean, I held Svechnikov for like a year, it felt like, but
yes.
and then he started popping off, and then I traded him. You know, mm-hmm. I hate trading a guy I have who's not doing well, even though it feels like a relief when you get them off your team originally. You're always not selling them at terrible value, so I can't blame him too much. But I feel like we're sending some good offers, so who knows? Yeah. But that's a good one for sure. Next we have Mackenzie Weegar. Since we mentioned him 2 weeks ago, he's had 7 games played, only 1 assist, 7 penalty minutes, 20 shots, 18 hits, 17 blocks. I put that because the reason you're getting Mackenzie Weegar is not for the points, especially on a Calgary team. That's not like it would be a nice bonus if he did that too. But his banger cats have been off the charts. He is still a huge buy low because of the lack of points. But I'm pretty sure, honestly, people who are in a league with these categories aren't too upset having Weegar on their team. Like, yes, they would have liked the points, the power play points, but like with those banger cats, like he's not worth the draft value they got him at. But he's still a very good part of their team. So I still think it's difficult to get him. But if you can, I still think it's a great buy low because he will get more points than this.
Context for Weegar, like he was my buy low 2 weeks ago, but I did like if you're just reading that now, you didn't actually listen to the episode, and you're like, oh, why would they recommend Weegar? Like, he's ass. Like he is ass. But there was context to it. It was you could actually at that time 2 weeks ago he was doing even worse than this. Funny enough, like his banger cats were struggling. He had just got bumped off PP1, so like there was a lot of negative energy for Weegar. And the price for him was really low.
It was really low,
so, he only has 1 point in the last 7 games. I think, like, even at his best, he was like a 0.5 points per game kind of player. Like, that's not the reason why you had him on your team. Maybe now he's like a 0.3 points per game player, which is honestly atrocious.
Yeah,
but
it's really bad.
If you're getting the pims, the shots, the hits, and the blocks, like from a defenseman, that's great value. Yeah. And maybe you can be like, hey, here's a guy that's going to get you more points. Like, I'll take Weegar off your hands type of thing. Like, that's the kind of trade you're going to make. Where that points guy maybe you have an abundance of and you really need the banger coverage. Like, that's the kind of trade you're trying to do for Mackenzie Weegar.
Yeah, like I would love to flip my Shane Gostisbehere for Mackenzie Weegar. But.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been trying to flip like Erik Karlsson plus like another like guy that gets you some hits just so it's like some category coverage. You get Mackenzie Weegar, but in our league it's difficult.
I'll have to say it was a good buy low. I think the ship may have sailed on it because the main reason it was a buy low, like Kevin said, is that he also wasn't banging. And then we had Philip Gustafsson, who since then played 4 games, 2 wins, .907 save percentage, 2.49 goals against average. That's really solid. Like, I think he was doing really poorly 2 weeks ago. I still think that you can buy low on him. I don't think that window is closed, but he's definitely starting to trend up. So it's going to take more than it would have taken 2 weeks ago.
I will say that I'm just going to highlight, like, Braden Point is still the biggest buy low. Like,
yeah.
Guys, we've talked about Panarin for so long. It seems so risky when it's not happening. You're like, is he ever going to turn it around? Like, is this the biggest mistake I'm going to make in fantasy this season? Like, give away good players for these guys that are drafted in the second or third round in your fantasy leagues? And now look at Panarin now. Like, everybody's just like, sigh of relief, bald Panarin and Trocheck are back, and it's amazing. So it feels so bad when you're going into it. But we've seen the heights of Braden Point can get. You're trading a guy that's probably a sell high for a guy that's on ultimate buy low. It's going to feel bad.
Yeah,
but turnaround will come.
I just did a huge sell high buy low trade that honestly I don't feel great about right now. But if you follow the process, it should work out really well for me. I traded Johnston, Horvat, and Kreider for essentially Kucherov, which the three guys I sent are top in the league right now, and Kucherov's doing really poorly. But if you follow the process, the whole point of this is you feel bad at first, but over the course of the season, it'll pay off for you. So same thing with Braden Point. But let's get into our sell highs from 2 weeks ago. So first we had Brandon Montour. This worked out exactly as I said. 7 games played since then, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points, only 3 hits and 7 blocks. So like I said, not only was his points unsustainable 2 weeks ago, his backcats were unsustainable. They were insane at the time. If you look at his game log, exactly after our buy low sell high episode, he dropped off the face of the planet, just like I said he would. We said he would. So no, this was a great sell high. I hope you sold on him because now he kind of dropped back down to earth, and I don't think you can get nearly as much value.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Montour was one of those names that he always has periods of time where he becomes like the best defenseman in fantasy. It feels
it's
like
when he plays me.
We should post a schedule of when Montour is scheduled to play Josh, so everybody can know that the sell high opportunity is on the way.
Or Matthew Olivier playing either of us.
Yes, guys. Okay, I have to do this little tangent. You're gonna listen to this, but everybody that was in the Discord remembers my meltdown that I had in the Depressed channel, the fantasy venting Depressed channel in Discord, because when Matthew Olivier played me like 2 weeks ago, he dropped a 4-point night against me. 4 points. Matthew Olivier, the enforcer.
Yeah.
He does not even know how to get a point. He doesn't know what that is. Before that game, I think he had 2 weeks.
1 point on the season.
He had like 1 point on the season.
Yeah.
It was
then after that,
absolutely disgusting.
He puts up 0 points for 2 straight weeks, and then he goes up against me this week and puts up a 3-point game.
So 7/8 of his points on the season have come in 2 games and against me and Josh in separate matchups.
So he has made it to the Josh and Kevin hate club. He has now joined Adam Lowry, who always kills it against us and gets shorthanded points, and Mark Stone, who just there's so many reasons, both from being on our team or being against us, that we hate him. Anyways, let's keep moving on to our sell highs from 2 weeks ago because we haven't even dove into our new ones. We had Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who since then 4 games played, 0 goals, 4 assists, 4 points, and has been injured. So obviously it's hard to pat ourselves on the back and be like, we knew he'd get injured, so you should have sold him. But fact is, if you did sell him, you're pretty happy. But not much to say on that.
And that was also like in the where Hyman was going to come back as well. Like his deployment was probably going to end up being like a line 3C for Nugent Hopkins, as what we've seen is a common occurrence for him when the team is fully healthy. So listen, like not a pat on the back, but I still think that if you can get anything for Ryan Nugent Hopkins, like I would try to sell.
Yeah. And lastly, we have Trevor Zegras, who since then 7 games played, 2 goals, 5 assists, 7 points. But I will say, I prepared this show talk yesterday before the game, and he had only gotten 4 points in 6 games at the time.
Yes.
Then he puts up a 3-point night, so now it makes us look a little less against Kevin, of course. So he is a point per game since the 2 weeks ago. Still a massive sell high. If it wasn't for last night's game, I'd say you had missed the boat on the sell high. Now maybe you can still pull it off. But don't expect this to last all season.
No, especially Philly. Philly, I think, is one of those teams that I can see like severely regressing in the second half of the year. I want to capitalize on Zegras' value right now and still try to trade him.
Yeah, but let's dive into this week, all the new ones that people want to hear about. So let's start with my buy low for the week.
This is my favorite one.
I really like this one. I was pretty happy with it. Even though he did pot a goal last night. But my buy low is Dylan Guenther of the Utah. So Guenther started off the season super hot, but has cooled down significantly in the past 2 weeks, where he's averaging 0.17 points per game, 0 power play points, and 3 shots on goal. So one thing to note is even despite the lack of points, he's still shooting, which is why I'm not too worried, or a part of the reason why I'm not too worried. He even got bumped off power play 1 for a game in favor of Kevin Stenlund, which obviously didn't last because it's so dumb. Yes, I wrote that in the show doc. I'm reading it because it was baffling. I almost picked up Stenlund. I was like, if they're going to be this dumb, then maybe I'll pick him up, but I knew it wasn't going to last more than a game, so I didn't fall for it. But anyways, so the Guenther owner may be panicking and thinking that his deployment is not a lock. Guenther is still an elite player and an elite shooter. The entire Utah team is struggling, having lost 5 out of 7 of the last games. Although, again, I wrote this before last night's game where they won. So let's say having lost 5 of their last 8 games. They have way too much offensive firepower, and Guenther is way too good of a player for this to last. Act now while you can get him for cheap. Disclaimer, Utah doesn't have the greatest playoff schedule, but you still got to capitalize on an opportunity like this. It's a 4-3-2, so it sucks in the finals. The quarterfinals, great schedule, and semis is fine. But I just like putting that disclaimer out there in case I don't want people to get him not knowing that in advance. And some good targets I'd put. Evgeny Malkin, still a sell high. I think this can easily get done 1-for-1, and I would be way happier with Guenther.
Yes.
Brad Marchand is just popping off. Way rather Guenther. Chris Kreider is popping off as well. Prefer Guenther. Nikolai Ehlers also on a hot streak. And Quentin Byfield also having 2 multi-point games against me this week. So those are all some targets that I would look at sending for Kreider, for Guenther.
Yep. I mean, I completely agree with all of this. I think Guenther is one of those names that they started the season super hot. Everybody got super hype on him, and then he dried up really quickly. And then people are like, oh man, I missed a boat. Like, this guy used to be like the best, now he's the worst type of thing. And when you see those, when a new player is cementing his reputation as like a great player, and then they have spells like this, it's a good opportunity because people are thinking about like, oh, was I wrong? Like, is he actually not as good as I thought? So like, that is a train of thought that is very common when you own a player of like this archetype. And also you can capitalize if you actually have the conviction in your take that, yes, this is actually a good player. The underlying metrics are there. The situation is great. He's still going to have success in the future. You can buy him on that like panic value a little bit.
Yeah, especially like the fact that he got bumped off power play 1 for a game. Like, that's a huge, like, you can use that to your advantage because it's not going to, that obviously it didn't last, but like, you can like be like, look, he might not even be a lock on power play 1. Kevin Stenlund's creeping up there, you know? So,
I mean, like clearly he wasn't in good form. Clearly the coach wanted to, you know, spark something. He made an awful decision. Yeah. Like, one of the best ways to spark your star forward is to demote him off PP2, clearly.
Taking a page out of Rod's book.
Seriously. I mean, I understand, like, trying to, you know, balance out the fact that, like, you still need team success even when one of your star players is, like, not doing well. But is that the solution? I'm just not sure.
No.
But there are way better days ahead for Guenther. Yes, Josh mentioned, like, the playoff schedule is not something that I really want to hold him the whole season for. Like, I want to kind of, like, get him now, capitalize on getting better value, and then have an opportunity to trade him later in the season as well. Because the 2-game week in the playoffs in the championship is not great, but he's going to provide so much value for your team before that point.
Yeah. All right, Kevin, who you got for us?
All right. This is a guy that has been on one of these episodes previously, very early on in the season, but he was a sell high earlier, and now he's a buy low.
That's crazy.
We are talking about Pavel Dorofeyev of the Vegas Golden Knights. Listen, when I say Pavel, when I say Dorofeyev, you think about goals. This guy's a goal scorer. He scored 35 goals last year. He started extremely hot this year. He's already at 10 goals on the season. We are not a third of the way through the season yet, and he's
easily getting almost 40.
Yeah, he's going to get 40 goals this season. But over the last 2 weeks, guess how many goals he has?
0?
He's got 1 goal. One goal in the last 2 weeks. Guess how many points he has?
1?
1 point, 1 goal in the last 2 weeks.
Classic.
He's pretty much dried up. And it's good to keep a pulse on the league and players that are going through stretches like this, because even in the Discord, people were just like, oh man, Dorofeyev really dried up, didn't he? And that's an opportunity to strike when you believe in the turnaround. And I believe in the turnaround for Dorofeyev. His deployment is set. Honestly, I am not worried about the deployment. Coming into the season, I think he fell in fantasy drafts because people weren't convinced that maybe he's going to start on PP1. He was also injured, so we were like, oh, sorry. He was like, oh, is he going to get that PP1? Like, where is he going to play when he's healthy? He got healthy and instantly was on PP1 ahead of Theodore. Now Theodore's bumped off for X-name rookie that nobody's never ever heard of. Yeah, Bowman. So which I did pick up in my extremely deep league where everybody is rostered. So I felt pretty hype about that.
Picking him up.
I do not recommend picking him up in almost any league.
Yeah.
But all that to say, like, Theodore is not in favor. They much rather have Mitch Marner running that power play, and Dorofeyev's spot has zero question. So all that to say, he's playing almost 20 minutes a night. He's still shooting a lot. His deployment is set. Everything is there for success in the future. The Vegas power play has also been extremely snake bitten since the Mark Stone injury. Like, we are Mark Stone haters, but we're also not oblivious to the fact that he does bring value to this team and that he's a good player to have on the actual ice. He's just frustrating in fantasy because every time he plays against us, he pops off, and it's just like, he can't keep getting away with this.
Yeah, and then he's also frustrating if he's on your team because he's always injured, so he's just a frustrating player in general.
But when he's not injured, he's playing against us, and he's wreaking havoc.
Yeah,
so,
and look, when I like once in a while I like checking on how all the players are doing. So I'll go on the players tab. I'll sort by all players, like even on teams, and I'll sort by season average. And he's at the top of that because before he got injured, he was popping off. Clearly makes a big difference for that power play and for Dorofeyev.
Yeah, but all that to say, over the last 2 weeks, Dorofeyev's shooting percentage is at 7%. It's like 7.5. His career average last season was closer to 14. So he's basically half as good as he was in terms of shooting and scoring goals in the last 2 weeks to the start of the season. I think all of this is going to get better. I think when Mark Stone comes back, I think the power play is going to get better. I just think right now you can capitalize on somebody that drafted Dorofeyev late in the 14th round. Maybe they thought they had a diamond in the rough. I don't think he has that like reputation that he's going to be like a stud like this for the whole year. I think people kind of like have the image of Dorofeyev in their head where he's a streaky guy, ride him while he's hot, he'll score a lot of goals, but he's pretty one-dimensional. He'll go through spells like this. But I really believe in Dorofeyev to be for not only a season-long hold, but like a guy that you could have drafted in the 5th or 6th round this year and been happy with that outcome. So I really want to buy Dorofeyev. I think he's extremely attainable right now. If you can sell, a similar archetype of player, but that's hot, that's the perfect sell. We always say 1-for-1 trades are awful. You don't want to do those because they're, first of all, hard to get done. And also, you want to make a balanced trade where it's a 2-for-2, so there's some sort of ambiguity. But these are potential names that you can maybe get in a 1-for-1. I will say some are better than others, but I think Morgan Geekie right now, he's also on fire. I would rather have Dorofeyev for the rest of the season. Like, Geekie has the best playoff schedule, just like the New York Rangers. But I'd rather have the shot volume because of Dorofeyev, the better team, and the heightened gold opportunity. I think Brock Besser is really hot right now. I think Besser, if you could do like a Besser plus another piece for Dorofeyev, I think that can get done. Nikolai Ehlers, a target that Josh mentioned for Dylan Guenther, I think you can trade him right now. He's super hot. He's on line 2 in Carolina. Already we know what playing under Rod can do for you. Maybe with the Jarvis injury, hopefully that's not long-term. But
I don't think it's long-term. They said it wasn't.
But then he's going to be line 2, power play 1. And yeah, that's a good deployment. But he's not going to keep doing what he's doing right now. I think you can trade him for Dorofeyev. And Chris Kreider, the infamous Chris Kreider who Josh traded for Nikita Kucherov. 1-for-1. No. It wasn't 1-for-1. But I think he's really hot right now. Anaheim is super hot. They're scoring a lot of goals. Chris Kreider is scoring a lot of those goals. You could trade him for Pavel Dorofeyev. And I would be super happy getting any of those deals done because I think Dorofeyev is going to be a tremendous player for your fantasy team for weeks to come.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I also like when there's like a specific catalyst you can point to when the turnaround's going to come. And I think Mark Stone returning, even though there's no timeline, so it might not be anytime soon necessarily, I think that's going to be huge. But I also think they're going to figure it out before Stone returns. They have too many good pieces on that power play to need one player. He's not even the best player. He's not even the second best player on that power play, right? It's Eichel and Marner. Then you go like Stone, Dorofeyev, Hurdle, something like that. So Stone obviously is going to make a big difference when he comes back, but they will figure it out before then. If Braden Bowman's not the solution, they'll put in Barbashev, they'll put in something else, and they'll keep putting in some 5th guy until eventually it clicks. So Dorofeyev is at an all-time low right now. He's going to be sick this year, and I fully agree. Love your targets as well. I'd say my favorite, like my ranking of these targets, I think Geekie's the best one of the 4. Then I'd probably go Kreider, Ehlers, Besser, but maybe that's
in terms of like who'd you rather give off?
No,
like
these are like the best player to me at least. But I'm pretty low on Ehlers and Besser. I think I'm not the highest on. No. So if you can pull off any of those, I think it's great. But let's say you have multiple of these guys, then the first one I would offer is Besser, then Ehlers, then Kreider, then Geekie. All right, should we get into?
I also just want to blasting on Dorofeyev.
Yeah.
Like when you look at like goal scorers like this for fantasy, like guys that are primarily goals, not many assists, you're gonna have a lot of periods of time in the season where they can't score every game. It's just impossible unless you're like Austin Matthews that 1 year or Morgan Geekie this year. So I'm not scared when times like this happen. Like I just want to preface Proface.
Yeah,
Proface. That he scored 1 goal in the last 2 weeks. It won't be the only time this season that he gets 1 goal in 2 weeks. Like it's bound to happen again, but that doesn't deter me from wanting him on my team.
And over the course of the season, the average is going to be really nice. So even if it's a bit streaky, it'll average out to something you're really happy with.
Exactly. All right, let's get into Jakey's Bilo for Jakey, who is not here, so we will give context to his pick. But Josh, how about you lay it on us? Who did Jakey list as his buy low? And I will preface this with we make our own picks, so we don't necessarily agree with everybody's specific take.
This was the real roast. We were waiting for this point where we're both like, we don't necessarily think this is the biggest buy low. Obviously, we want him on our team, but like I think he's doing pretty well. So, anyways, we'll still mention it because Jakey said it, and we'll give some context. But Jakey's choice is Connor Hellebuyck, and he spelled his name wrong in the show doc, but that's fine.
Listen, who doesn't spell Connor Hellebuck's name wrong?
Me, I passed the spelling bee this summer.
It's true.
All right, Kevin, give some context on why Connor Hellebuyck may be a buy low.
All right, I do want to provide context because if you're hearing this name and you're like, Connor Hellebuyck, a buy low, like he's not really doing bad right now. And I agree with you. He's not really doing bad right now. Like as of this recording, he had 1 bad game, but listen, we talked about the goalie position and how volatile it is. Bad games will happen. Connor Hellebuyck is still one of the best fantasy goalies in fantasy this year. Yes, Winnipeg is not as good as they were last year, and that's the context that we need here. Connor Hellebuyck was a first-round pick in almost every fantasy league this year. Unless your league severely decreases the value of goalies, like he was a first-round pick. Sometimes he went ahead of Makar, sometimes he went ahead of Kaprizov, and these guys are killing it this season. And I think that's what Jakey is trying to say here, that, you drafted Connor Hellebuyck in the first round of your fantasy league. The opportunity cost when you're making a decision like that is a star forward that has 100-point-plus potential, which can be a huge power asset for your fantasy team. Last season, Connor Hellebuyck won every trophy possible. He was a game breaker for your fantasy team. And if you drafted him in the first round expecting him to do what he did last year, you're severely disappointed. Now, if you're listening to this podcast, or honestly, I feel like any podcast, people were probably prefacing prefacing that you can't expect what he did last year to be what he's going to do this year. Like, it was one of those anomaly years that we saw from Carey Price. Like, yeah, these are amazing goalies, but when you're performing at a level that's... yeah,
Carey Price could do anything.
Yeah, he could. But if you're expecting that level of performance, you're not going to get it. And so, yeah, you spent a high draft pick on a guy that you expected to win you goalie categories every week, and that's not happening. Like, yeah, he's giving you good goalie stats, but it's not like the game-breaking values that we saw last year. But he's still a good goalie to have. So if the Connor Hellebuyck manager in your league is at the bottom of the table, maybe they have a few injuries, maybe they have Hellebuyck who's good but not like excellent like he was last year, there's an opportunity here to maybe capitalize on the sentiment around Connor Hellebuyck of he's not the game breaker I thought I was getting in the first round. I could have had Jack Hughes on my roster. I could have had Kaprizov on my roster. I could have had Makar on my roster. And yet I'm stuck with Connor Hellebuyck, who is not going to win me my matchups every single week. And if you're able to trade on that sentiment, maybe trade your best goalie plus a player. Jakey listed some targets. Like, if you could trade Cutter Gauthier plus the best goalie on your roster for Connor Hellebuyck, Gauthier is one of the biggest sell highs right now. Everybody's excited. They picked him up off waivers or they drafted him really late. You have extreme value right now, but we don't expect this to last. If you could flip him for arguably the best and most consistent fantasy goalie, you do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, like
for those that are not watching,
like,
I'm snapping my fingers right now.
Yeah, let's say you have like Logan Thompson who's been killing it, right?
Yep.
Gauthier plus Thompson for Hellebuyck, that would be a sick buy low sell high.
And it's crazy because, if you're trading your first round pick, you don't want to steep too low in value where if you're trading him away, you want to get somebody that's also, drafted at least in the first 3 rounds in terms of value back. With goalies, it's ambiguous, though, because their value kind of is separate from the forward skaters because not only is it a lot more context attributed with the goalie position, they're so volatile, and goalies get hot and cold, and their value completely fluctuates with that. So I think right now, Hellebuyck is potentially attainable. You still have to pay a price. Obviously, we're not saying get your best guys off the waivers and sell them for Connor Hellebuyck. Like, that's not going to happen. And the manager may not be even completely disappointed with Hellebuyck's performance right now. Like, yeah, he had one bad game, but he's been good. He just hasn't been game-breaking. Yeah. And if they're at the bottom of the table, they're looking at their roster and they're like missing some depth. Like, I always try to find trade partners. I'm looking at the bottom of the table. I'm looking like, who are their star players that are underperforming?
Yeah.
But I don't always scroll to the goalies because goalies is kind of separate. It's like, okay, like if I need a goalie, I'll look for goalies. If I don't need a goalie, I'm not looking for a goalie type of thing. But Hellebuyck is one of those guys that he's not doing bad enough that he's like a glaring buy low. But if you're looking at all the first round picks that were in your fantasy leagues, like, who is the worst one? Like right now it's probably Kucherov, who we're saying is a buy low, but then it's probably Connor Hellebuyck. Unless JT Miller was drafted in the first round of your fantasy league.
You know what? I'm over it. I flipped him for McDavid, so I'm happy.
Yeah, you're happy. But that's kind of the mindset that I want you to have when you hear this Connor Hellebuyck take and what you can potentially do. Like, would you trade Igor Shesterkin plus Cutter Gauthier for Connor Hellebuyck? Or is that too much?
That's a tough one, actually, because like it's not like Gauthier is like a nothing throw-in, right?
No.
You need it to be a significant upgrade. I don't know if I'm doing that, to be honest. And I definitely prefer Hellebuyck than Igor. It's just, is it a Cutter Gauthier sized amount that I prefer that? I'm not sure.
I think Cutter Gauthier plus, like you said, like a Logan Thompson is a great name.
Yeah,
if you can do
like
Spencer Knight, like who's also been on fire, like
if you can pull that
feels
off, that's a highway robbery, honestly.
Yeah. What about John Tavares plus these goalies? I feel like that's more palatable. And this is why we're also higher. First of all, Team 0G, because these forwards are so valuable when you have them on your team.
Yeah. And look where we are now, right? Like, we're talking about being able to send like a 6th, 7th round pick that's overperforming plus your best goalie for a first round pick. That's not getting done for a first round forward or skater who's like performing as they're expected or even underperforming a bit. Anyways, I like it. I don't necessarily consider him a buy low that much because I don't think he's playing that poorly. I usually like looking at guys who are actually underperforming. Yeah. He had one bad game, but yes, he is underperforming where he was drafted, and maybe this is like the one chance where someone would actually sell him. So to that point, I'll give it to him. But
it's not a conventional buy low.
Yeah.
But we wanted to highlight the situation and the sentiment around drafting a first round pick and maybe not being extremely satisfied with it, and just always having that looming feeling that you missed out on an exceptional value.
Exactly. Let's get into our sell highs. My sell high for this week is a bit of a lower targets one, because we always talk about high end names, but sometimes people don't like making those blockbusters. So here's a bit of a lower end one to target or to offer. Ivan Barbashev of the Vegas Golden Knights. Barbashev is averaging 1 point per game, 0 power play points, 1.7 shots, 1.6 hits on the season. He's shooting at 26% on the season versus a career average of 18%. He's line one with Eichel and Marner, which is great, but he's not power play one and has no chance of getting it, as shown by Vegas bumping off Theodore for Braden Bowman over him. So if they're willing to bring in a guy who's never played an NHL game before and put him on power play one over Barbashev, I don't think Barbashev's getting power play one. So, and he has 0 power play points on the league. Like, power play 2 on Vegas is not a thing. Anyways, nobody gets a point per game without any power play exposure other than super rare cases like Brandon Hagel last year. And Barbashev is not Brandon Hagel. You can sell Barbashev on his line one line mates and the fact he's been doing so well to get someone on power play one who is underperforming. So guys that I'm looking at, William Eklund, Dmitry Voronkov, Uri Slavkovsky, Dylan Holloway. Again, you got to aim realistically. I know you're looking at your guy, you're like, he's a point per game. Why am I offering it for these guys who are playing like scrubs? But like, Barbashev's going to slow down and be like super cold. So getting a guy who's a lock on power play one and will turn things around is just a big win for me.
Yep, I agree. And it's good to have trade targets like this where, we talk about these big names like Braden Point and Kucherov and all that. But guys like this that you most likely picked up off of waivers, if you're able to flip that for a guy that's going to be staying on your roster for the whole season, that's like better than just a streamer level kind of guy, then that's a win too. Like, that's how you make your fantasy team better, when you're picking up these guys on waivers that have big potential. They play to that potential, then you sell them off or you add them as a throw-in in a trade to get a tier up type of thing. I love this. Barbashev is one of those clear names that you can sell on. Eichel and Marner. And he's killing it. Yeah. Like, sell that guy. Sell that guy because he will end up on your waivers at some point. If he gets bumped off line 1, his complete value is cooked. So I'm trying to capitalize on that right now. I love the targets you listed. I think Eklund and Voronkov, they're not spicy. Like they're not flashy names. They also will have their ups and downs. Like they're way better than a waiver type of player in your deeper leagues. Like I want to Proface that with it's like natural now that I just say Proface instead of
of course. Well, now that we learned how to properly say it,
yeah, I mean, the most Italian word in the dictionary, but
exactly. Yeah,
but
no, I mean,
Slav
for me,
and Dylan Holloway I really like as well. I think Dylan Holloway is my favorite guy to target. I still think Dylan Holloway is a buy low. Yeah. So like we're not highlighting him here specifically as a buy low on this show, but Dylan Holloway is a buy low. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
If you can flip Barbashev for him, that's exceptional. That's a 10 on 10 trade in my book.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the thing that's tough is I just got Barbashev as kind of like a throw-in in my Kucherov trade, and I'm trying to immediately offload him before he inevitably slows down. But of the 4 targets I listed, 2 of them are on Kevin's team and 2 are on Jakey's team, and none of them are going to do that with me. So I got to find some targets on some other teams. I'm actually using him right now as a additional piece, plus Gostisbehere, who's also a sell high, to try and package for an upgrade somewhere else. But yeah, I think it's a really good name.
That's the best way to do it. Like find a position on your team that you want to get an upgrade at. Find like your worst player in that position, and let's say you want to upgrade your center. You have Nico Hischier, and you want to get an upgrade there because he's also a buy low, but you're not happy with him. Nico Hischier plus Ivan Barbashev, you can get a lot of good centers like that. You could maybe get Braden Point, or you can maybe get insert other center here. Do the same thing with defensemen. Gostisbehere plus Barbashev for Victor Hedman. Yeah. For like there's names out there that you can do that with. So that's what I'd be trying to do with Barbashev.
Yep. All right, Kevin, who you got as your sell high?
Ooh, I am happy to talk about this one because in years past, I've had him on my fantasy teams, and I've loved having him on my fantasy teams. He's always underrated, except this year it feels like, because we're going to talk about Bo Horvat of the New York Islanders.
I love him, and I miss him.
He was on Josh's team this year, drafted in the ninth round.
Of a 14-teamer.
Yeah, 14-team, 20 roster spots deep. Josh got him in the 9th round and flipped him for Nikita Kucherov. 1 for 1. No.
I paid a lot. Okay, right now it doesn't feel great.
Josh gave Wyatt Johnston, Bo Horvat, and
Chris Kreider. And I got back Kucherov, Monahan, and Barbashev.
Monahan and Barbashev were like throw-ins for the other manager, pretty much. Yeah. So basically 3 for 1, and all Josh's guys were sell highs. Bo Horvat is a sell high. Over the last month, he's been on pace to double his points from last year. Over the last month, he's at 1.43 points per game. Last year, he ended the season at 0.7. So a month is a big sample size, especially in fantasy hockey. On the season, he's at 1.3 points per game, which is already still elite. And he's shooting over 3 shots a game while still being elite at faceoffs. I don't think his pace last season should be a 100% representation of what his baseline is going to be. I think he'll be better this year than he was last year. The Islanders last year were very bad, and they didn't have the talent that they have this year. Like they added the Heinemans, they added Matthew Schaefer, which completely overhauled their power play, which is
they didn't have Barzal. He was injured for most of the season.
Yeah, Barzal was injured for most of the season. He wasn't playing with Palmieri, who's the GOAT. One of my favorite waiver wire pickups of the season. But all that being said, I would bet my house. Sorry, I would. Check Zillow right now. I would bet my house that Horvat does not keep up this pace too. Unless you believe he's going to end the season with like the same points pace as McDavid, Kucherov, McKinnon, then hold Bo Horvat. But if you think those guys are better than Bo Horvat, then probably sell Bo Horvat right now. The Islanders' power play is significantly better than last year. Credit to Schaefer. But right now, there's only 3 pure season fantasy who have been better on the season than Bo Horvat. It's Nathan McKinnon, it's Leo Carlsson, and Macklin Celebrini. Now, 2 of those 3 names you probably did not expect to be on this list going into the year. They've been elite. But Bo Horvat is not the 4th best pure C in fantasy. His shooting percentage right now is 21%. 21% of his shots are goals. His career average is 13.7.
Every time he shoots, it goes in. Like I keep watching like Islanders highlights because I had him on my team until this past week, and it's just like Horvat goes and just like a random rip from like above the circle or whatever, and just goes in every time.
And there's something to be said about players playing with confidence and keeping this up. Like clearly, on the season is at 1.3. We're a month and a half into the season. But I do not expect this to last. I can see him ending the season at like a point per game pace, which is already a huge step up from last year. Last year was at 0.7. A point per game would be a huge jump up from there. It would also be a huge drop from where he's currently at, if he's at 1.43 points per game. So all that to be said, yes, you can be excited about Bo Horvat on your fantasy team, but also it's the perfect time to capitalize on this and tier up, especially at the center position, because you can do like center to center. It's easy to make the comparison when you're trading with somebody. But there's also like a lot of cross-position trades that you can do with a guy that's just like being elite across the board at fantasy hockey. I think you can aim high. I think you should aim high. But also you have to make sure you're getting fair value. Like, I'm not saying get Bo Horvat. He's going to play like a 9th round pick. Get him off your roster ASAP before he comes down back to earth. You need to get fair value. But fair value right now is a very high pick. So you have to make sure you're getting that. Here are a few targets that I think you should aim for. I'm not saying this is a 1-for-1. I think these are guys, with how Bo Horvat is playing right now, you need to try to trade for. I think you need to try to trade for Kucherov. Josh pulled that off amazingly. I think you need to trade for Austin Matthews right now, who is currently on IR for at least a week. It shouldn't be long term, but Matthews has also not been first-round pick Matthews thus far. He's still been great, but he hasn't been game-breaking elite. Bo Horvat's been better. You can trade Bo Horvat for Matthews. And I'm not saying 1-for-1. I'm saying in a package, you need to try to make these trades happen. These are guys you should target. Jack Hughes as well. Jack Hughes just cut his hand at dinner with his team, and he's out.
Catch a break. It's actually crazy.
We talk about Jack Hughes being injury prone. He's always missing time and whatnot. This injury didn't even happen on the ice. He was at dinner, guys.
Didn't even happen at the rink.
He's not even safe from his forks and knives anymore.
I was gonna say, how hard was he going at the steak? It's like.
It must have been a pretty tough steak. But these are all like huge names that we know are fantasy game breakers that I think there's a realistic trade that you can put Horvat plus one guy or a 3-for-2 or even a 3-for-1 like Josh did and get these guys on your roster. If you're looking cross-position, I think you can get Werenski right now. I think Werenski was a top 3 fantasy defenseman coming into the season. He's not performing at the level that he was last year, but his underlying metrics are still there. He's still shooting. He's still blocking. Columbus, yeah, they're going through a rough stretch right now, but if you need defensemen and you have too many centers, a lot of leagues only play with 2 center positions, you can get Horvat for Werenski. I think 1-for-1, that's a very feasible trade. You can even make it a bigger trade and get even more value out of it. If you can get Panarin, I think JT Miller is still a name to highlight. Like, the Rangers have seemingly turned things around, and JT Miller is still, I think, the only, high-name Ranger that hasn't completely had the flip in value yet. Like, he's still kind of trying to get points on the board. I think if you want a goalie, I think you can get Vasilevsky. I think that's a 1-for-1 trade that, with how Bo Horvat is performing right now. He's ranked 7th in our league. Our league has face-off wins, shorties, and every category you can imagine. I think you can trade Bo Horvat for Vasilevsky 1-for-1. If the manager needs points, that's something that will be super tempting for them. But all that to say, I listed high-level names. Do your due diligence. Make sure you're getting fair value, but you have to capitalize on his performance right now.
Yeah, I fully agree with everything you're saying, obviously, because I did it. No, he's been such a joy to have on my team. What an amazing surprise. But it's like Kevin said, he's not going to be bad. He's going to be sick this year. Like, he's not going to drop to what he was last year, but there's no way he's going to maintain this pace. So if you can get like a first-round pick for him in return, then even in a package or 1-for-1, then I love it. So I fully agree with everything Kevin said there.
You have to at least try.
Yeah.
You have to try.
All right, let me do Jakey's choice. This is a good one. Mm-hmm. So, sell high for Jakey this week is a guy who terrorized me last week, and his one fantasy relevant week in the past 3 years. Miro Heiskanen of the Dallas Stars. I'm going to read Jakey's blurb. This is an interesting one because everything is adding up for Heiskanen to be a monster. He's turning 26-year-old this year. That's actually crazy. I thought he was older. Yeah. Entering the prime of his career, is on what is probably the best offensive team in the NHL. He was drafted 3rd overall, 1 pick over McCartall, and has always had amazing offensive potential. That being said, he's had enough of a sample size in his career to show that he's not a top 5 defenseman for fantasy hockey. Yet he's on pace to be top 3 and number 1 in the past 2 weeks. It's looking like he'll keep PP1, and of course that's intriguing, but there are players you can trade him for that are much more reliable and have a higher floor and ceiling. If you look at his career points log, he's only had one amazing year 3 years ago where he scored 73 points in 79 games. But since then he had 54 and 71 and then 25 and 50 last year. I expect he'll hit the 55 mark this year, which is nice, but this pace is the highest he'll be scoring at this year. Essentially, I think you could send him for any defenseman outside of Makar and Hughes, and even if you have add a small piece to get it done, it's worth it. And some targets that he put: Lane Hudson, Evan Bouchard, Jake Sanderson, Zach Werenski, and to give 2 forward names, Philip Forsberg and Dylan Guenther. And he says, curious what you guys think about this last one. So I'll comment on it because I was just reading what he said. This is amazing. I like everything he's saying. I love all the depth he went into with the career stats and all that. Of course, he mentions his draft pedigree because it's Jakey and he loves that stuff. I'm surprised the junior numbers didn't make it into this. But but no, Heiskanen's a 6 sell high. One thing that Jakey didn't mention, which is an even bigger reason why he's a sell high, is that Dallas's power play has been at an unreal pace the past 2 weeks, and it's just not sustainable. Like, they can still end up being the best power play in the league, and it's not going to be what they've been in the past 2 weeks. I know that Wyatt Johnston is averaging a point per game, a power play point per game over the past 2 weeks. So, and I know Heiskanen has been a part of that a lot. So I do think he cemented his power play 1 spot, which is huge for his value, but there's no way that it's going to stay this high. I agree that you can pretty much aim for almost any defenseman. I think Hughes you can aim for. Makar you can't, but like I even think you can aim for Hughes. So add that to the list of targets. I would take Hughes over him. I'd take Bouchard, Sanderson, Werenski. Hudson's an interesting one. The Habs are in a bit of a slump right now. They have some injuries. So I think you could definitely get... I was going to say, I think you could get Hudson plus, and I'd like that. Forsberg, I would definitely take over him, and Guenther, I would take over him. And I think this is all of these are achievable, so I really like everything he went with here.
Yep. I feel like Heiskanen has always had the big name, and he's on Dallas, one of the best teams. Like we said, like they look like a juggernaut. They just beat the Habs 7-0, guys.
Yeah,
7-0. It was
brutal. And we got like 2 massive injuries. Ugh, I'm depressed, but it's okay.
So, but he still has the name. He still has the name pull. And in previous years, like Heiskanen has not been a fantasy defenseman you want on your roster. I feel like it's just been one of those guys that you draft off name value, and then you're stuck holding because you don't want to drop him. Yeah. He's too good to drop because of the name, but he's not good for fantasy. This year, he's great for fantasy. So you capitalize on that. You capitalize on that right now because he's playing out of his mind. Love all the targets, like you said. I think the only one that's a little bit of an asterisk is Lane Hudson because the Habs are in a slump right now. But long term, would I rather have Hudson or Heiskanen? Probably Hudson. But right now, that feels like super one-sided. You could get Hudson plus.
Yeah.
So do your due diligence. If Heiskanen is on your team, just know what he's doing right now is not going to stay. We've seen it in the past. Sell him while you can. Tier up. Tier up. Yeah. That's how you win fantasy championships. You tier up. Get Bouchard, get Sanderson, get Werenski. You'll be thankful after.
Yeah. And all that to say, like, he's not going to drop off and be fantasy irrelevant the rest of the year, but it's just he's not going to be this good.
Yeah.
All right. I think that wraps up our buy low, sell high for week 7.
Yes. If you guys made it this far, really appreciate it. Once again, make sure you follow the podcast. It helps us out so much. It helps us reach more of you guys. And we're just trying to grow the community and help as many people as we can. Join the Discord. Like I said, huge community over there. Click the link in our bio on either Instagram, Twitter, wherever you get your news. Click the link in our bio. Look at the link tree. Any social media you're not following us on, click on it. Follow us there. Watch the YouTube. Leave us a comment. 5 stars.
Comment 5 stars.
Doesn't do anything, but 5 stars
makes us happy.
It's just a gag at this point. But follow the YouTube channel, subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. And we hope to see you on the next one. Take it away, Ernie.
Ba-ba-da-bow-bow, Banger Management, Fantasy Hockey Podcast.
Woo! Woo! Woo, woo for Jakey.